I would say my next encounter with tapping, before I encountered EFT, was just through working with a nonverbal autistic woman who, as a caregiver, as a companion, who really woke me up to myself as a neurodivergent person and to um, the idea of stimming being stimulating one's own system. Um, and stimming is kind of this funny thing, or it was a few years ago when I last really got into researching and looking about how are people talking about this. A lot of neurodivergent voices have emerged and been um, given more of a platform or taken more of a platform since then, since this was about, I guess, 8 years ago that I worked with Claire. And so stimming then was like this mysterious thing that neurodivergents do that autistic people or schizophrenic people do. Self-stimulating behavior, flapping, vocalizing. Um, but I noticed that hanging out with my client, with Claire, I felt more and more permission to be myself because she was living in an experience, a nonverbal experience of one, most of her words that she did use were repeating phrases either from family or from TV shows, movies. And so there was this heavy focus on mirroring and of resonating with something and slurping it into your vocabulary, whether that's a verbal vocabulary or non-verbal vocabulary. And I could see that that's what I've been doing. I mentioned my friend Sue that I met, that I took. She was very different than anyone I had met before, and she was doing things to help herself because she struggled a lot with creating a mental balance, being a very flexible and open person, creating a balance in herself so that she could function, um, attempting to meet external expectations, but also really attempting and devoted to caring for herself, as opposed to neglecting these impulses of the body. And so I noticed that I'm a collector as well. And you can see in this collection of videos that I'm sharing with you my a version of my collection. And I noticed that I don't need to, I got a lot of permission working with this nonverbal autistic woman who I could see the difference in when she was given permission and encouragement and play to allow the impulses, and how she would numb out or feel enraged when she felt the need or the demand to deny her impulses. And I was like, this is reminding me of my dad. This is reminding me of lots of people I've known throughout this life. This is reminding me of myself. Oh, sorry. And what I'm getting at is then I started sharing stimming online and conversations about neurodivergence and DCFO. And one thing I really noticed, people tap their feet or tap their hands on things. There's that version of tapping. And we kind of let our leg bounce. There's that, nervous tapping or twitchy behavior, which is also simply stimming. And if we can, rather than try to deny it or still it, if we can say yes, yes, yes to it and allow our feet to tap, allow our fingers to tap, whether that's on a surface or on ourselves, we are stimulating the movement of energy. We're allowing the movement of energy through our system, the yes, yes, yes to circulation. And so that's what I wanted to bring in here, that was an imperative experience for me in believing in tapping, was encountering these conversations, both verbal and nonverbal, that really showed me how much we need this. And sorry, this person will probably call me incessantly. Turning my phone off. I will call them back after. And I remember one woman in particular in one of my group studies on DCFO said her dad would always yell at her not to bounce her leg. But it's because, like, when we allow ourselves, like, he was just trying to hold it together. He was in stronghold denial of his own impulses. And when we allow ourselves to stir up our own energy and be in flow, it gives great permission. It, like, says, come on, to someone else's system. And so if you got in trouble for fidgeting or stimming or tapping or singing or whatever it was that you were naturally drawn to as a kid, as a young person, even as an adult, if you're being constantly asked to not do that, it's because you're accessing a soulfulness of energy flow that is so natural to us as humans, and that other humans, their bodies, their energy beings are naturally saying, yes, let's do that. And then the mind, in the ego, out of protection and an attempt to meet standards of high functioning that are defined by authorities that are not taking this conversation of us being primarily feeling and sensing into consideration. And if they are, then they're denying it or neglecting it. And that's what happens, is we feel denied and neglected if we do not consciously choose to stim ourselves and to allow those fidgety impulses to guide us in our relief and flow, and how far that can take us into our authentic expression and sustainable success.